Okay, welcome back. So this is the first use of the sawmill, so a lot of this video will kind of be just overview stuff and kind of sawing boards. I don't go too into depth on anything until we have a better handle on it. I'll kind of explain at that point. So first we got the blade put on, and again I'll kind of show how that works on the LX150 later. Okay, so whenever we took delivery of the LX150, the debarker motor didn't want to run, so trying to troubleshoot it, and found that behind this plate, which is on the right side of the motor, there is this fuse back here, and basically from the bottom, whenever you can see it without the plate on, there's just a red button, while on top is how you actually reset it. So there's a little switch up here that you just pull down with your finger and it resets. So if anyone's having issues with that in the future, you can just reach up once it's from the bottom and turn that back so that it resets it. Here we're getting a log loaded onto the sawmill, so there's the black pieces on the back that help stop it. And then this does have a raised bed on it, so you're able to use the forks of the tractor, set it down, and then still pull the forks out. We were trying to get it to rotate around a little bit, just needing to rotate it, it didn't come perfectly square. And just trying to understand how to set it on there without hitting anything, since this is our first log. And here initially just taking it slow so that make sure not to hit anything or bend anything, since we're not 100% sure what all we're looking for this first time. So here we're just tensioning up the blade. You run it between 1500 and 1700 psi. I figure you can do a cut and then we'll check it and make sure that it doesn't stretch. So it goes right there. Yeah, so you have to kind of snap it in, and then that thing, holds it. Okay, so on this first cut, just taking it pretty slow, so you notice that he's having to push quite a bit. So we did end up having an issue with the potentiometer on the sawmill, so it wasn't wanting to run forward, but it would run backwards. So we thought maybe it was the drive motor. We started looking, but it didn't make sense, so we did end up calling WoodMizer. They walked us through, and sounds like the potentiometer wasn't bad, just it had a little bit of corrosion, so we're able to work with that and get it going again. So one thing that we forgot to do on this first log was get the center lined up, so I ended up having kind of a spot in the middle. So again, just kind of part of the learning process of what all needs to be done. Didn't get all of the bark removed from the center there. There's a little bit of a dip, and then have some more at the end here. So again, as we start to use it, we'll kind of get better at figuring all that out, and how to better judge how much to take off, and getting the log centered up. So here we have it set up so that once you get done milling logs off, you can put them over on the forks on the right hand side. So any of the boards that we're going to keep, we try to kind of put up front. Boards that will be used for scrap or firewood, kind of put in the back. So working on kind of getting a process down on how we want to handle the wood. So these cant hooks are a must-have for dealing with the sawmill. So we have a 4 foot, 5 foot, and 2 foot one. So the 3 and 5 are the ones we use most of the time. Definitely for these big logs. The smaller one can be handy just for doing smaller logs, but it's a must-have to get these logs rotated around. And definitely with 2 of us, it makes little work of it, that you can see even one person can get it turned over. So here we're kind of trying to get it flipped over 180 so that we can go ahead and get a cut on the bottom side to start our cant. And as this goes on, it becomes less painful to watch. We get a little bit more of a process figured out and get all of our tools out so that both of us are working on getting it turned. Okay, so we got that cut done. On the LX150, there are the 2 clamps that are used to hold the wood. So they just slide on a rail back and forth and then screw in and out to help pinch the wood. Okay, so now we're doing a 90-degree turn. And I found here that anytime we want to rotate the wood, we need to put those black backers all the way up so that they don't want to rotate down. And again, with this being our first log, just kind of learning things we need to do and be cognizant of as we figure it out. And then on the clamps, they have little kind of aluminum pieces that go on the end of the clamp that have a little bit of a spike in them, so you can use it to really drive into the wood. And then once you have a cant, you can actually put it all the way down, and there's a little notch in it to where it will just hold the square edge of a piece of wood. In a future video, I'll kind of go into that more, showing how it holds those. So this is a piece of poplar that we put on the mill. So here, what we're doing is using the simple set. So if you set the blade at the same height as the wood that was cut previously, you can then use the simple set to set a specific depth. It'll go down to that amount, and then you can run the saw through. And then whenever you return the saw back, you can just hit the down button again, and it will go down the desired depth from the previous cut. The only thing with the simple set is you have to account for the blade curve, so it doesn't have that figured in. So for ease, you typically figure about 1/8. So if you want a 1-inch board, you set it to 1 1/8, and it will continuously cut those until you reach the bottom. Okay, here we got a whole bunch of pieces cut, and we want to rip them all the same dimension the other way. So we have them all stacked up here, and we're going to run the saw through so that we end up with a whole bunch of pieces that are all about the same. I think these are actually going to be 2x4 sizes, so we're going to do like construction size lumber. So it'll actually be 1 3/4 by 3.5. Okay, so here's a look from the outside of cutting those 2x4s. So again, it will utilize the simple set here. So get it set, have it go down the 3.5 plus the 1/8. Get those boards ripped, put them off to the side, and then just hit the down button again to produce the same cut. And then that left some 1x1s or 2x2s at the bottom that we can use for something else later on. Okay, so then we had a piece of walnut, so we want to just kind of run that and get a little bit of walnut drying. So even though it's a small one, we're able to get a little bit from it. So again, just taking the top off, getting a couple passes done there. Then rotating it around, and as you can see, the smaller wood is much easier to handle. So get a couple live edge pieces here, and then get a cant going. So had it rotated, but here's a look at cutting a live edge piece. You can see we got quite a bit of water going, so still trying to kind of figure it out. Along with the debarker, you can see running in front of the blade. So day one of using the sawmill. So we put about 3 hours on it. So today, basically just kind of getting the hang of it and trying to understand what all to look for and just kind of how everything works. So today we went through and cut up a couple of cherry logs and some walnut. Here is some poplar, so we're working on making some 2x4s. And then have a couple of pieces here that are currently live edge that we'll probably cut down and use for wood later on. But right now, just trying to get the hang of how it all works and understand kind of techniques to perfect everything. So far going fairly well, and I'm sure we'll learn more as we keep using it. Okay, so this stuff up here is what we cut today. So I have a piece of some cherry. These are like inch pieces here and then a 2-inch piece here. So use this for like cutting boards and stuff like that. And then up above that we have some walnuts stacked up. So all that stuff that we cut today as well. Thank you for watching the Schmitter's 100 Acre Woods. Give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and we'll catch you next time.